You don't need more motivation. You don't need another mindset hack. You need to stop negotiating with yourself. The war inside you, the overthinking, the hesitation, the guilt. It's not because you're broken. It's because your mind isn't law. It's a debate room, a place where every feeling votes, where fear speaks louder than principle, where desire cancels direction. And the result, you stall. You backpedal. You make decisions you don't respect. Because every time pressure shows up, you look for consensus instead of command. But here's the truth. Once your inner law is written, you don't ask permission from emotion. You don't ask, how do I feel about this? You ask, does this align with my code? And that's when the noise ends. When the mind stops debating and starts executing. You don't need more clarity. You need fewer options. Let's begin. Your mind is loud because nothing inside it is final. Every thought gets a vote. Every emotion gets a microphone. Every impulse feels like a possibility. And so you wonder why you feel stuck. Why every decision feels like drowning. Why you commit then, pull back, speak, then regret. Want, then sabotage. It's not weakness. It's anarchy. A mind with no chain of command. And here's the pattern. You say you want discipline, but still ask if you feel like showing up. You say you want boundaries, but renegotiate them in real time when pressure comes. You say you want clarity, but invite confusion back in every time doubt knocks. This is why you spiral. Because you treat thoughts like facts, feelings like evidence, and hesitation like wisdom. Example, you commit to working out at 6 a.m., but 5:58 hits, and your brain says, just today, skip. And you listen because you never wrote the law. You just floated on preference. Another. You say, I don't tolerate disrespect. But the moment someone you love crosses the line, you explain it away. You soften the rule. You dilute your word. And just like that, your inner courtroom becomes a debate club. No rulings, just noise. But here's the pivot. Law ends debate. When something is law, it's not up for negotiation. It's enforced. It's embodied. It becomes who you are. And until that happens, you will keep cycling through doubt, regret, and self-betrayal. It's time to write what's non-negotiable and live like it's final. You don't rise in power by controlling others. You rise by controlling your court. And that begins with law, not goals, not intentions. Law. Inner law means this. Once it's written, it's final. No emotion revisits it. No doubt touches it. No external pressure rewrites it. It's not how you feel. It's what you enforce. Step 1. Define what's non-negotiable. Not what you prefer. What you protect. What you will hold to even when it's lonely. Even when it costs you. Example, I do not explain my boundaries. That's law. Not because you're rigid, but because you're sovereign. Step 2. Link your behaviors to your law, not to outcome. You don't work hard for success. You work because your law says, I show up fully or not at all. You don't treat others well to earn their love. You do it because your law says, my character is non-transactional. Step 3. Divorce your law from your mood. Because moods shift. But lov stabilizes. If your commitment dies every time you're tired, you don't have discipline, you have fragile ambition. Example, you feel drained. Still, you sit down and write, not because you want to, because your code says, I finish what I start. This is how sovereigns are built. In silence, in private, in moments where no one claps but you still uphold the law. Because eventually, that law becomes your instinct. And when that happens, your mind is no longer a battlefield. It becomes a command center. Let's train execution next. Most people don't lack clarity. They lack closure. They revisit every decision, reanalyze every step, reopen every door they already closed. That's not reflection. That's mental leakage. When your law isn't final, your energy stays in limbo. You don't move forward. You hover. You repeat. But sovereign execution requires this. No second thoughts. Once the law is made, you obey yourself. Example, you said no to someone. Now guilt creeps in. You want to explain. Soften. Reverse it. But law doesn't explain. Law holds. You let them deal with their feelings. You remain unmoved. Another example. You committed to finishing a task today, but now you're tired, distracted. You want to push it to tomorrow. Old self, I'll be better tomorrow. New self, this was already ruled. And you execute. Here's the deeper truth. Freedom isn't doing what you want. It's doing what you decided, especially when you no longer want it. Because the moment you follow through, you remove hesitation from your system. You stop asking, should I, and start saying next. This is how inner power scales, not with motivation, but with execution that doesn't flinch. And in that rhythm, your mind becomes keener. Your day becomes clearer. Your life becomes undebatable. Let's now shift from self-mastery to environmental command. The world adjusts not to your words, but to your consistency. When your inner law is fixed, people start moving differently around you. Not because you told them to, but because your clarity creates pressure. You no longer flinch. You no longer over-explain. You no longer adapt to moods, and that unsettles them. Because they can't manipulate what doesn't move. They can't test what never opens. They can't predict what isn't performing. Example, you have a rule. I don't entertain chaos. Someone tries to pull you into drama. You disengage. No reaction, nor defense. They realize this person isn't here to play. Another. Your law says, I don't explain boundaries. Someone asks, why are you being cold? You offer no apology, no proof, just presence. Suddenly they adjust, not because they respect your words, but because your behavior left no room for negotiation. This is how you lead without speaking. You become a standard, a mirror, a line that doesn't move even when tested. And the deeper you go into your law, the less emotional labor you need to do, because your presence filters people for you. Those who can't respect your clarity disqualify themselves. Those who can rise to meet it. That's the power of internal law. It becomes social structure. It turns your self-discipline into an unspoken command. It ends external confusion by removing internal permission. Let's close this. Enough opinions. Enough maybe. Enough back and forth. Your mind isn't meant to be a democracy. It's meant to be a courtroom. Clear law. Final rulings. No retrials. Because the longer you entertain debate, the weaker your execution becomes. And the world senses it. The hesitation. The leaks. The softness. But when your mind becomes law, your days become decisions, not feelings, not fluctuations, decisions. So here's your task. Write 3 non-negotiables. Simple, sharp, enforceable. Examples: I do not chase. I leave when disrespected. I finish what I begin. Choose one area of life: fitness, boundaries, focus, and attach behavior directly to law. No more if I feel like it. Only, this is what I do. For 1 week, when tempted to break your standard, don't argue, just enforce. Because every time you enforce without emotion, you strengthen your identity. Every time you hesitate, you invite weakness back in. And here's the real truth. A man with no law becomes noise. A man with law becomes gravity. Write it. Hold it. Live like it was etched in stone. No exceptions. No negotiations. No noise.